From bar manager to associate director, tune in to watch Daniel Perry, where we talk about what it takes to be the best real estate agent in Dubai Marina. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Lewis.
Have you got any success stories of your biggest deal?
One of my main clients has actually bought, I think he's bought like 12 off me now.
Oh, wow. You obviously were in the F&B industry. How did that transition into getting into real estate?
I just thought of the opportunity. I've been in London for like 9 years. So I took the leap to come over, and then, yeah, it's the best thing that's ever happened.
What made you say, no, I don't want to go back to England?
Money, obviously,
Yeah.
is a big thing, which is easy to do if you've got the right mindset, I suppose.
This is one you're going to want to watch. Welcome to Taking Care of Business Agent Success Stories. We are here today with Daniel Perry. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Lewis.
Is it Dan or Daniel? Is it?
Dan.
You told off. You called Daniel.
Yeah.
Would your mum call you Daniel? You told off.
Yeah, only if I'm in trouble. Like.
Welcome to today's episode of Taking Care of Business. Just to give the viewers a bit of understanding of what we're trying to do, we want to introduce some of the most successful agents in Dubai real estate to the people who are watching the podcast and discuss your journey, what you've been through, successes, failures. And the reason we want to do it really is because everybody has started somewhere, including myself and yourself. I think the last success story we had on was Lee Weston.
Yeah.
If you watch Lee Weston's one, she was from Lidl to, I can't remember what it was, from Lidl to Dubai real estate, and one of the success stories. So thank you very much for coming on.
No problem.
So let me just deep dive into Daniel Perry. So the first thing I'm going to tell you before we go into your story, do you know how the first time I got to know about you? Outside of like the social side, the work side?
Probably for Aaron Parkins and that, managing bars, left bank.
Nope.
Maybe, no.
The first time I ever heard about you was your first day at work, and Carl went into the boardroom. Do you know this story or not?
The spider story, yeah.
No, not the spider story. No. I don't think you know this one. So Carl's gone into the boardroom to meet all the new staff.
Yeah.
And we always gauge people on first personality, first meets, first everything else. And Carl's come in and he's come out of the boardroom and he's went, because that guy got a job. Did you know that?
No.
So he went, I said, what do you mean? He goes, big, broad, Brummie accent. You worked in a pub, didn't you?
I worked in a bar, yeah.
Yeah, in a bar. And he was like, how has he got a job? And I was like, look, we've got loads of people that were window fitters and everything else. And to this day, I reminded him, I said, do you remember he said about Dan Perry on his first day? He goes, yeah, first impressions are never, ever where they should be.
I think I had a bandage on the first day with like blood coming down my legs. I'd just been bitten by a spider.
So, big Brummie accent, bit by a tarantula. If I'm not mistaken, you got bit twice. Wasn't a tarantula, it was a redback.
It's by like a redback, yeah. Got bit twice. And just at I think it was at the start of it or something like that. I moved out, then got bit again. It was a nightmare.
So your journey to Dubai, how did you end up in Dubai?
So I was working at the time, I was working in Marbella. I'd been in London for like 9 years, working in bars. And then decided I wanted a bit of change, went to Marbella.
In bars again?
Yeah.
What were you doing, pulling pints?
No, like managing a beach club it was, to be fair. It just wasn't, did like 4 or 5 months there. And then an old manager of mine, a guy called Graham, he was over in Dubai. I'd never been here before. Just randomly messaged me out of the blue saying, "Oh, do you fancy coming to Dubai?" And that's how I got the name Left Bank.
Because you worked at Left Bank?
Yeah, there's a bar called Left Bank. Closed it down in the end because I was obviously crap at my job.
Did it close down when you were there?
No, it closed down. Yeah, everyone. It wasn't my fault. But
I will say something. I used to go Left Bank a lot, so I used to go there. And then what was the club at the top? Trilogy. The Trilogy?
I think that was gone then.
Yeah, then it turned into something else. Yeah. I used to go Left Bank all the time. Yeah. So you probably
that's how I got the name.
You probably would have poured me like a cranberry and vodka.
Probably did, yeah. So I was there. So I took the leap to come over. I'd never been here before. Got on a night flight. I remember landing like 3 a.m, dropped off to a shoreline apartment, and he was like, "This is where you're going to stay for the next couple of months till you get on your feet."
Happy days.
And it was a bit weird. And I did that for like 4 years. So
when you come over, they gave you free accommodation?
Only for the first 2 months. And then after that, I moved into Oceania. Lived there for 3 years, I think it was, 2-3 years.
So you literally stayed you did not dog it properly then,
mate,
did you,
I was screwed from day one after living there.
Yeah, you've gone from shoreline
to the Palm.
To the Palm, and then Oceania, which has got the wave pool.
With the pool and the infinity pool and all that, yeah.
So I just want to let you know, I lived in the New Gold Souk in Karama above the Chicken Tikka Inn. and you're telling me your stories that you moved into Oceania.
Yeah, 50. I think it was probably 40% of my wage at the time.
Really?
Paying for my rent. Yeah.
Okay, so you obviously were in the F&B industry. You were working for Left Bank. How did that transition into getting into real estate?
So I moved companies from Left Bank to another company.
They closed down as well?
No, that didn't close down. And then here. So obviously when all the bars had to close, and I just remember sitting in my apartment and I was like, oh, shall I get back to the UK? And I was literally on Google pricing flights to see how much it would be to take my dog home. Literally,
Really?
Yeah, literally. And then obviously I got bit by that spider. And then
Best thing that happened to this
probably was, to be fair. And that literally took up all my cash at the time. And
Can we just deviate a little bit and just go into the spider bite? Because there's people listening to this that are hearing this. Right, I seen this spider bite. Your flesh was out of your arm.
Out of my arm, yeah. And I was literally, I think I got drunk on the balcony or something like that.
It's not like you.
No, when you can't leave the house. So I just hit the minuti on the balcony, I think it was. And I must have got bit. I woke up with this mad pain in my arm, and then I went to the hospital, and then they put me on a general anaesthetic straight away. And I had no insurance because my visa had just been cancelled for the previous company. And every bit of savings I had, that was gone. And obviously sitting there, and I was just thinking in my head, like, is it time for me to kind of leave Dubai? And then I messaged Aaron Parkins.
And he was working for us.
He was working for you at the time, yeah. And I messaged him and I was like, what do you think? And he was like, I don't know, lad. One of them. He was like, get you a bit of cash flow kind of thing, come over. And that was it then. He obviously knowing Aaron, he's probably after the referral money.
Yeah, definitely got paid. I'll check. He's definitely been paid that referral.
He's probably, he got paid on that. Don't worry about that. And that's how he kind of come about. And then, obviously started leasing just after the lockdown finished. And then I think it was just before I started lead, I got bit again, didn't I?
What made you say, no, I don't want to go back to England? So obviously I think that's a pivotal moment in someone's career. I've had these moments myself, and I think to myself, if I look at the most successful people in life, they hit this stumbling block, and some people just cave in, and some people are horribly stubborn.
Yeah.
Why did you not decide to go back?
I just think the lifestyle, like I looked at what I used to do back in England and how life was compared to kind of what you've got in Dubai. Even at the time, it was like probably the toughest time of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just thought of the opportunity, okay, something new. And I got to the point, I suppose, at the career at the time where I was like, I do need a bit of a change. Yeah. And real estate, I'd always kind of thought about it because when I lived in Oceania, I lived with people in real estate.
They work for us or not?
2 did actually, yeah. 2 worked for you and then 1 for a spas. But it was seeing what they were earning, and when I was on it was just a really basic salary at the time. Yeah. I kind of always wanted to see if I could do that.
So give me an example. What would they spend your month's salary on a night out, or what would happen?
More than likely, yeah.
Really?
Probably, yeah. Well, most of it, yeah. I think it was something like 15,000 a month when I first moved here. So on a night out, between them, I obviously couldn't get involved too much in it. But,
you're just sitting on the table like that. Yeah, Can I have one of your vodkas?
Yeah, basically, yeah. But you'd see what they would earn and what they'd save, what they'd buy and stuff like that. And it was kind of, I wouldn't mind getting into that, and that's how we kind of evolved.
I think that's a big thing, really. I think, I post on social media for recruitment and also showing our success and your success and, the people in the business. And I think people would find it hard to believe unless you see it, that you can earn that life-changing money. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Because you can go from, well, you don't know what's going to happen the next day, do you?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you can go from earning 15 grand or doing a deal, and the next minute you've got 50,000 off a deal or whatever that number is. And it's kind of never ending. The more you put into it, kind of the more you can get out, obviously. But
I think the exciting thing is why you get better at the job. I mean, if I look at your first, let's say, year, and then look at where you are now. So let's say for instance, last month, how many sales did you last month?
12 last month, was it? 12.
And what was your actual sterling take home if you work it out?
About 50,000, I think, wasn't it?
£50,000.
400 and something thousand dirhams, wasn't it? As a total, so probably about £50,000, something like that.
Absolutely.
Which is mad, isn't it?
And the thing is, again, just for everyone that's watching this, really, so you understand, The average sale in Dubai is 3 million dirhams.
Yeah.
We get 4% on them apartments. So you're talking 30, 60, 90, 120. So that is, what's that, £30,000 a sale?
Yeah.
And then you do that over 4 or 5 sales.
Yeah.
Then you're doing apartments that are a bit smaller, but the volume is higher. So the breakdown is there. And I think people go, oh, you can't earn £50,000 in a month. The mad thing is, I was on a video call with an England international footballer literally 2 weeks ago. And he got on and said, look, I'm looking at buying a house in Dubai. And he come on, really nice guy, I want to buy a house for £1 million. I was like, not really getting a lot in Dubai for £1 million. And then you start to figure out that the guys in real estate are actually near footballer wages.
Yeah, I suppose, well, some obviously on ridiculous money, aren't they? Like,
But the tax, don't forget.
Yeah, obviously there's no tax as well. But even, it doesn't matter what area you're kind of in, it adds up, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, probably the Marina's probably the smallest kind of fees or the lower end kind of property.
Yeah.
But, and when I first moved, I thought, I was like, oh, am I going into the wrong area? And then, yeah, it's the best thing that's ever happened, basically. Yeah, it's obviously volume, isn't it? But
I think the big thing for me, I think we're all like plants or trees. You're only as good as the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
But that's the honest truth. And I think if you were back home in Birmingham and I was in Coventry, we'd cross each other's paths and it'd probably take us both 2 or 3 years to earn what you earned last month.
yeah, well, I was in London for 9 years and I think my salary in London was 48 grand a year. But obviously, if you take away the tax on that,
You're talking 28.
that is what kind of you can get that in a month, which is mad.
And that's
It's
London.
mind blowing, and anyone can do the job. And I think that's the main thing. And obviously, the longer you've been here, the more kind of clients you kind of get, and then the relationships you build. And I think that a lot from mine came from the relationship building.
Definitely.
I think from the hospitality kind of side of things.
I think if I look at you and I look at what success looks like, if you take away the money, I think one of the key aspects in recruitment and finding the right people, it's took me years to figure this out. It's not about having an IQ.
Yeah.
I don't care about intelligence. You've got to have emotional intelligence. You've got to be able to read someone and figure out what they actually want, because I don't think real estate's hard. Like, you know, if you're selling pensions, it's a hard sale because you're going, this is what you need. We actually get inquiries. So I think last week we had 800 inquiries. Someone must call you and go, hi, Dan, I want a 3-bedroom Marina with a sea view. It's not that difficult to go, let me see what I've got, and then keep offering them until you find them a unit.
Yeah, because people are calling for something that they want. And then it's your job just to find that what they want and then find out a bit more about them. And obviously, the more experience you get, the better you get at it, the more confident you get. And then I suppose working in a big company like ours, obviously surrounded by loads of different agents, and you obviously they've got more opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So what about yourself then? What's your goals with you personally? Obviously, you're making this life-changing money. I don't know how long Dubai's life-changing journey we've gone. I've been here 18 years and I don't see it stopping. I think it's changed my life irrevocably. It's changing your life and already has changed it.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you doing with your money?
Well, I've bought two properties so far. I've sold one, but used and then renovated the one that I'm living in at the moment.
The most expensive reno in the Marina.
Yeah, the most expensive reno in the Marina. We won't go into detail on that one.
No, please do.
But yeah, I think my next goal would be obviously to buy another property.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year, something a bit bigger, and then just keep growing really.
Here's a question for you then. So, and there's no right or wrong answer. Do you think investing in property will make you wealthier than being a real estate agent? Which one do you think will make you more money than?
I think in the long term, if you look at it in the long term, well, some of the agents in our company have probably earned more off property than they have in their career. But in the long term, obviously if you buy and sell, I sold one, and to be honest, I probably regret selling it. I would have pushed myself a little bit more. Probably should have just kept hold of it. But I think in the long term, if you can, I think I read something. It was like on one of those New York kind of, the Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
Someone said on there that you should buy a property every year in that job.
Yeah.
And in our job, you probably can do that if you really put your mind into it.
Definitely can.
Obviously, the only thing over here, we've got a hell of a lot of distractions.
We've got, you were talking about before, I'm not going to name names, but one of the guys you're talking about bought a property in Jumeirah Golf Estates.
Yeah.
And that house has gone up £3 million. £3 million. And I looked at his billings, and let's say he builds 6 million in 8 years. He gets half of 6 million.
Yeah.
So he's took home 3 million over that 6-7 year period. It's the same amount of money that he's gained in the property value. And I just think about it, like, wow, if people understood property, my theory of your job is this. I think you should be making money in real estate and making that money then work for you in property. Like you're not going to become worth £100 million today by just working here. You make yourself £100 million if you make money in real estate and then reinvest that money.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what you're buying. If obviously you know the market.
Yeah.
And you do see good opportunities. Like I've obviously got clients that buy and flip off me at the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And you know when it's a really good opportunity. And the only thing you've got to do is get yourself in a position to take that opportunity rather than one of your clients.
Yeah.
Which is easy to do if you've got the right mindset, I suppose.
Yeah. Have you got any success stories of your biggest deal you'd like to work sharing? What's your biggest deal?
Biggest deal was a villa in Drury Hills.
Okay.
An off-plan
in Jamaica Gulf States.
Yeah, in Jamaica Gulf States last year. One of my main clients, he's bought like 12 off me now.
Oh, wow.
And that was probably my biggest deal. It was about 10 million, I think.
So £100,000 commission or more?
No, it was with one of the other guys, but probably £50,000 off one deal.
Just one deal.
Yeah. But I suppose I've done a couple of those at that kind of level, maybe just a little bit under. But it just becomes a little bit, I don't know, I suppose a little bit normal after a while. Yeah. You take it for granted, don't you?
I think that's good though. I think if you can get used to being normal, I mean, money doesn't excite me anymore. I know that sounds mad to you because I've been around it since I was like 20. I've managed clients' funds. Like I've done everything that you can imagine with money. I've bought property, sold property. And what I've realized with money just enables you to do things.
Yeah.
Enables you to make investments. And I think, if I look at the moment, we're talking about success stories. There's a guy last month that billed £1 million in commission.
Mad.
So made over £500,000 in commission. And I called him and I was like, hey, you happy? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to be happy in the job because you're always going to want something else or there's always going to be someone who's doing better than you as well.
Always.
Like, for me, I'm ridiculously competitive. And I can't, it's like the other day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was the last day of the month or something like that. And I couldn't relax because someone was just above me. Aaron Parkins again.
And he beat you, didn't he?
No, I beat him at 20 to 11 at night, I think it was, something like that. But you're still not going to be, I don't think no matter how much you bill or earn, there's always going to be someone who's going to be doing something bigger than you, which will kind of push you to the next level.
You've just got to accept that. I mean, even in my position, I know how fortunate I am. I've been doing this job a long time and I feel old now. But I was walking around the Atlantis yesterday and this guy comes up to me and goes, "Oh, you Lewis?" He goes, "Yeah, you work in property?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, someone mentioned you. I followed you." And I said, "I just want to come and say hello." And I said, "Who followed me?" And he was like, "Oh, just some guy who was praising you, da, da, da." And I was like, "Okay." And I walked away thinking, wow, some people must think well of our company and everything else. But in my head, I'm not good enough. And that sounds mad to you. It's just how I'm built. And I think maybe that's my competitive streak and your competitive streak. And I think that's probably what pushes us to the elite levels. You're able to say, I don't care if I live on an island, somebody's got a bigger island than me.
Yeah. I think with our team as well, because it's obviously quite a big team, you want everyone to kind of do well, but everyone wants to be at the top. No one wants to be at the bottom, do they?
Yeah.
I think as you obviously grow up when you're a kid, no matter what you're doing, whether it's at school.
You would definitely pick last at PE, by the way.
I definitely wasn't.
Oh my God, you definitely were.
At all. But yeah, you don't want to be at the bottom, do you? So, and I think every month, like the league table is something that I'm always looking at.
Yeah.
Probably drives my bird mad.
What traits would you say if you were looking to hire somebody to work with you? What are the key traits you would look for?
You've got to be kind of good with people.
Yeah.
I think that's where, because being in hospitality before, I was always in front of someone or speaking to someone. You've got to be able to be confident in front of people and having a conversation with people that you don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. You're meeting someone you've never met before.
Yeah.
And then you've got to have a conversation with them. You've got to be able to.
You can't just be like, hi.
Yeah, and you've got to be confident in what you're doing. So I remember when I first started, I was like, I'd always go and visit the property before I met them.
Yeah.
I was nervous as well. Everyone.
Of course.
And you can't go and show someone a property if you've never been inside it and stuff like that. So I'd always go visit it and kind of know exactly where everything was or what floor level the pool was on, etc. But I think if you're looking for someone, if someone was going to come and work for me now, good background, if preferably I would say, so
Working class.
Working class kind of background, because you don't, I don't know.
We're from similar places. Birmingham and Coventry are like 20 minutes from each other. And if you look at the people, like I've hired people from London and they've failed because they come from maybe a well-to-do background where like I used to sell heating spares at 16. I didn't go into school. And that's not like, oh, he's a success. It's not that at all. It's, I know I was a dog. And I think you've got to work hard.
I think people from a working class background are just a lot more driven. Yeah. Because you can come over here and you can see money that you've never seen before.
So what drives you?
Money, obviously.
Yeah.
Is a big thing. I always set myself little goals, and I kind of get obsessed with things. So if I want, I don't know, a car or a watch or whatever that is, I'll get obsessed with it until I get it. Okay. And then I always think, okay, so what's next? Okay. You can't just going to be happy. Oh, okay, just bought a new watch. You're going to be happy with it. You're going to want something else, and whether that's an apartment or a car or whatever it is, and then just keep setting goals throughout the year. The biggest thing for me was, I think last year, I think I sat at West Beach or whatever it was. And
definitely
I've written a list of goals, and I achieved most of the ones, not all of them, but most of the ones I did. And it's because every quarter I'd look back and think where I'm at and where I'm.
Do you know how I do my goals now? This is going to shock some people, but I used to do like year goals. So I'll go in January and I'd write Lewis Allsopp, he's going to lose 5 kg, he's going to do this. And what I realised is that a couple of years we went by and I never really hit them. And I read it, I didn't read it, it was actually on an audio podcast. And it was talking about, it said, look, if you can't do it that way, do monthly goals. So I did it in January. What I did is I said, have one golf lesson and go to the gym 4 days a week. And I started to follow these little things and then did it in February. And at the end of the year, it's going to play out that I'm going to be near where I want to be.
I broke mine into like quarterly, because if you do it yearly, time goes so fast over here, especially if you go away in the summer and stuff like that. You next minute, you've lost 8 months. Yeah. And you could be so far behind. Whether now I do it quarterly and see where I want to be each quarter, and then break my kind of yearly targets down into quarterly targets. And it seems to work for me.
And what was your, before we wrap it up, because I'm conscious that me and you could sit here and talk all day, by the way. Your biggest challenges in Dubai real estate? You coming over, you've landed from England, you come here. What's the biggest challenges you face?
I suppose the market's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
When I first started, it wasn't an easy market, but obviously prices were quite low. Yeah. Obviously just come through. So a lot of people, don't forget, there's still a lot of wealthy people over here who are looking to invest. So a lot of people were kind of capitalising on that, I suppose, when I first started. And obviously Dubai's it's become brilliant, hasn't it? After the last couple of years, how the vision of Dubai compared to, I look at like the likes of back home, for instance,
London.
What's going to be better the next 10 years? And I think now, obviously, the prices have gone up, so it's a bit more challenging as an agent to get it. But I think there's still people here buying. You've got a lot of tenants now where it's probably cheaper to buy. If you've got the deposit, it's cheaper to buy with and have your mortgage.
Do you think it's more competitive than 2 years ago as a broker?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I read a stat, it's gone up 400% in brokerage.
There's loads more brokers. So each property, like now, you've probably got 10, 20 agents on it, especially in the Marina.
So how do you win it then? What's your...
Just make sure you market, obviously look at your marketing, make sure it's like ticking boxes as an agent. And then just being on it all the time. If you switch off for a weekend, which you can, if you wanted to switch off in this job, you can just switch off though, can't you?
Yeah.
If you want to think, okay, like if you've had a really tough month or whatever, you can switch off and not answer your phone, and that's entirely up to you. But there's going to be another agent who's going to answer that call. 100%. So, and the way I find it very, very hard to switch off in the job, and I'm always on my phone.
And your girlfriend loves that, yeah?
Oh,
big shout out to Bex.
But yes.
Tell you love her.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He loves you.
But yeah, I think if you're on it all the time, you keep on your phone constantly, then you're going to do well. Because if you stop, it's so hard to get back into it. When you go on holiday, for instance, and you've had a week off, to get back in the job is going to take you another week.
Do you know what I think one of the most challenging things is for a real estate broker to understand? Your phone is your friend.
Yeah.
And I watch some of the newer generation people come through and they hide behind WhatsApp and they hide behind emails and even social media, which are brilliant. But if I'm going to convince you to do anything, I need to speak to you. I need to explain. It's easy.
Yeah. But everyone's guilty of using that. And I always say it, especially to a lot of the colleagues and stuff like that. And the easiest thing to do is to do on WhatsApp and have a conversation. But it's very easy to say no to someone via text.
So
keyboard warriors.
You can't convince someone on a message.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But if you pick up the phone and you start speaking to someone, it's a lot easier to talk to someone over the phone, persuade them to do something or whatever that is. Whether WhatsApp, I don't know.
So my final question for you before we wrap it up is, Dan Perry is going to fast forward 10 years. You're doing what you're doing now. You're accelerating, let's say, 10, 20% a year.
I'll be doing this job in 10 years. I'll be about 60.
I know, yeah. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What if you could say, okay, cool, I'm making the money I'm making, I'm investing, where does your life look like?
In 10 years' time, I'd either be retired as one, but knowing myself, I'd probably get bored being retired. Same. I don't think I'd be able to just sit back and do nothing. Maybe have my own company in real estate, doing something like that in 10 years, I'd imagine. And more than likely in Dubai. I can't see myself ever moving.
Yeah.
It's a good life over here, and I can't ever see myself going back home.
It's the trap. It's the trap of an amazing life.
Sorry, Mum and Dad.
I love you, Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
Well, look, this is Dan Perry, one of the best agents I've worked with in Dubai, not just Dubai Marina. Someone that's come from working in a pub to now really owning and dominating his area, making himself very wealthy along the way, investing, learning. So congratulations to your journey, Dan.
Thanks, mate.
And we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.